Ladies and gents, one more reaction. This is Alexander the Great Part 2 by the channel Epic History TV. Obviously, Epic History TV is epic, like the name suggests, right? I love reacting to this channel. The music and everything, the narrator's voice and everything is just perfect. So Alexander the Great Part 1, in that we saw how Alexander basically led the charge against the Persians. With his group of people, right, an army. In that there was those large sarissa wielding phalanx, basically 18-foot long spears. 18 foot, holy shit, right? I mean, their arms must be really strong to hold that spear and actually be effective with it. So 18-foot long spears, which is basically untouchable on the field head on, at least. But they will be weaker in their flanks. So Alexander basically have to use them really strategically, so nobody would attack them from the flanks, because if they do, you can move 18-foot spears like that left and right. So yeah, that would be a problem. So basically in the war, he basically led the charge himself as a distraction across the river with his small team of soldiers. So all Persians basically focused on him while his phalanx basically crossed the river, and now they were close to the Persian army, where they basically panicked, right? Because now you have 18-foot spears wielding phalanx coming at you. What you gonna do? You don't have time to gather your tactics or whatever, like come up with some kind of tactics to how to flank them or whatever. So you're gonna panic and run. And Alexander basically butchered whatever Greek mercenaries there were, because he saw them as traitors, as would I basically. Because let's be honest, when a guy basically creates this kind of a league of a kind of all Greek nations and combine them to fight one Persian empire, this is not the time for you to say, I'm just mercenary, it doesn't matter which side I'm fighting on. No, people will basically see you as traitor now. Because there is a movement now, Greeks versus Persians. So this is not the time for you to go with Persia. So, obviously from now on, there will be no Greek mercenaries from Persian side after what happened there. So yeah, that's this one. I guess he's going to go inland and start conquering. And when this Alexander the Great's part finishes, which is the last part, I don't know, 4 or 5, he's going to be near Indus River, I guess. Because that's how much he done conquering at that point. So let's watch it.
In 334 BC, Alexander, the 21-year-old king of Macedonia, led a coalition of Greek forces against the greatest power of the age, the Persian Empire. He led an army of skilled veterans, at its heart men of the Macedonian phalanx, armed with the 18-foot sarissa pike, and the elite horsemen of his companion cavalry.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, it's not. I thought 2 people hold 1 spear. That's what I thought. But there were 2 spears. I'm like, okay, but no, that's not the case.
Foot sarissa pike, and the elite horsemen of his companion cavalry. Together, at the Battle of the River Granicus, they'd won a first decisive victory over the Persian army. Now, as Alexander approached Sardis, capital of the Persian province of Lydia, its commander surrendered without a fight. But before Alexander could advance further, he needed to neutralize Persian navy.
Yeah, after what happened in the battle, basically he just saw from his binoculars at the time like this. Oh shit, alright, I big give up.
Naval power. Persia had a powerful fleet with major naval bases around the eastern Mediterranean that could potentially cut his lines of communication back to Greece.
Alright.
Rather than challenge the Persians at sea, Alexander decided to attack its nearest bases, the Greek coastal cities of Miletus and Halicarnassus. Both put up determined resistance, but were taken by winter. The following spring of 333 BC, Alexander continued his advance into Lycia.
That is so good, right? Because Persians are doing basically what we now know of as British war mentality. Because British has been for a long time, right? Basically for lots of centuries, naval powerhouse. Whenever there is a dispute, they basically blockade and things like that, cut off chain of supply, and just harass people easily to terrify them. That is the biggest strategy for Britain, and it always works. Because let's be honest, every land is surrounded by sea, and if you dominate sea, you already have kind of upper hand. So Persians seem like that here, but around this time, obviously, you need ports a lot because you need to resupply quite frequently. So Alexander's like, fuck it, I'm just going to take the ports. Where are you going to resupply now? Where are you going to land now? You can't just stay at sea now.
Lycia and Phrygia. At Gordium, he was shown the legendary Gordian Knot. A prophecy said that whoever could unpick it would rule all Asia. Alexander simply took his sword and sliced it in half. Meanwhile, Memnon of Rhodes, a skilled Greek general in Persian service, led Persian warships into the Aegean and captured the islands of Chios and Lesbos. But after Memnon's sudden death from illness, the offensive was abandoned. "18 months had passed since Alexander's army crossed the Hellespont and invaded the Persian Empire. Now Alexander led his men into Cilicia and was soon poised to cross the Nur Mountains into Syria. But then the main Persian army, led by King Darius III himself, emerged behind the Greek army to the north. Darius was determined to trap and destroy Alexander's army, which he outnumbered.
Damn, Mike was mute apparently. Yeah, so that is just terrifying sight. Obviously, it's Alexander, so it's not going to be that much terrifying to him. But that's like cutting off the retreat right there. Like, you have to go through them. There is no retreating. Retreat where? Into enemy territory?
Almost 2-1. So he blocked Alexander's only escape route by moving his army to the coastal plain near Issus, just 6 miles wide, from mountains to sea. The narrow battlefield would force Alexander to fight, but it also prevented Darius exploiting his huge numerical advantage. His army, by some estimates, was up to 100,000 strong, and contained some of the finest soldiers in his vast empire, including 10,000 of his own household troops, known as the Immortals.
The Immortals, damn.
His best cavalry were massed on his right towards the sea, where the ground was better for horses. His best infantry, his Greek mercenary hoplites, formed the centre. Persian infantry formed his left wing.
Our hoplites are going to defend against the phalanx. I get it, hoplite, big shields, right? But still, these are 18-foot of spears. I don't know.
Alexander deployed his own army for battle, once again entrusting his left wing, nearest the sea, to Parmenion, with the Greek cavalry and infantry. In the centre, as always, was the Macedonian phalanx. Alexander positioned himself and his best troops on the right wing, toward the mountain slopes. His elite Agriane javelin throwers, his archers, and behind them the Hypaspists and the companion cavalry. When Alexander saw the strength of the Persian cavalry facing Parmenion on the left, he moved across his Thessalian cavalry to reinforce him. Despite his overwhelming numbers, Darius held his position behind a small river, the Pinarus, and waited for Alexander to attack. He didn't have to wait long.
Yeah.
Alexander called out to his...
he basically is playing mind game, like, I cut off your retreat, what you gonna do now? I'm not gonna attack. Alright, you have to attack. He's playing the mind game like, I have the upper hand.
Men urging them to fight bravely, picking out some by name. Then, at the head of his army's right wing, he charged. Once again, the speed and shock of the Macedonian advance sent the enemy reeling back. But in the center of the battlefield, the Macedonian phalanx was in trouble. In its effort to keep up with Alexander, its formation had become disordered. Now, in fierce fighting with Darius's Greek mercenaries, the phalanx was slowly being driven back.
I mean, yeah. Phalanx has to be used very specifically. If that fails, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, they don't have much of maneuverability there. They have 18-foot phalanx with no shields and shit, right? So they have to be effective where they attack. If they're not, they're kind of screwed there. And basically, you know, those guys with a shield, I forgot the name, what do you call them? Obviously, they have more maneuverability with smaller spears and shield, basically. They can attack from all sides.
Alexander, seeing the danger, regrouped and led the companions in a headlong charge straight at the Persian center. The Greek mercenaries threatened on their flank were soon in disarray, and the Macedonian phalanx was able to resume its advance. Alexander fought his way towards the great king Darius himself. Rather than face this apparently mad and fearless Macedonian king, Darius fled the battlefield in his royal chariot.
I mean, he is mad, let's be honest. Look at this shit. Look at all this, you know, Persians here, and that's the Alexander right there in the center of it. Fuck it. Like, he constantly puts himself in the danger line, which surprises people, and which is why he's effective, I guess. The guy had balls, let's just say.
Meanwhile, the Macedonian left wing under Parmenion was in a desperate fight against the best of the Persian cavalry. If the Persians could break through here, they could envelop Alexander's army and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. But Parmenion and his troops fought doggedly and continued to hold the Persians at bay. As the news that Darius had fled spread among his troops, they abandoned the fight,
of course,
and tried to save themselves.
Damn, that was dramatic.
The battle turned into a massacre.
Oh shit.
Ptolemy, one of the Macedonian commanders, told Alexander there were so many Persian dead, his men had used them to fill a deep ravine, so they could cross over it.
Oh my god, you're kidding me, right? Oh, that is just fucked up. I mean, let's be honest, your army is only stronger as the leader. Obviously, when you realize your leader ran away, even if you are really gigantic army, it's not gonna matter for shit. People would basically run. If he ran away, which means he thinks we are lost, why would we stay here and kill ourselves? So obviously everybody's going to retreat then. While Alexander, completely opposite, he's the first man across the battlefield. He's the one who charges shit. Imagine being there as a Greek soldier, seeing that, like, oh, look at that, Alexander just went batshit crazy, and just charging there by himself with his small team there. And now we have to attack.
The Battle of Issus was a stunning victory for Alexander. And amongst the spoils of victory were Darius's wife, mother, and 3 children, all taken alive and well treated by Alexander. With the Persian field army in retreat, Alexander now turned to subduing the western territories of the Persian Empire. The next year...
I mean, yeah, you can't just start conquering here while this is a threat here. That's a problem. So, of course, he's going to dominate here first before going more east, I guess.
332, the coastal cities of Phoenicia submitted to Alexander, ending Persian naval power in the Mediterranean. but the island city of Tyre resisted. Tyre's defenders fought bravely and skillfully, even when Alexander began building a causeway to the island, protected by 2 giant siege towers, which they counterattacked with fire ships. But after 7 months, the city walls were breached and Tyre fell. Most of its citizens were killed or enslaved. Gaza, too, was taken by siege. Alexander continued to Pelusium on the Nile Delta, where the Persian governor of Egypt surrendered the entire province to Alexander, along with the royal treasury. At Memphis, priests of this ancient land welcomed Alexander as their liberator from Persian rule, and crowned him pharaoh.
Damn, okay.
At the mouth of the Nile, he founded a new city, Alexandria, then travelled to the desert oracle of Siwa, where according to some accounts the priests welcomed him as son of Amun, king of the gods.
Because of Assassin's Creed origin, I know these names at least.
Alexander returned east to Tyre, where in 331 BC he received news of trouble back home. Despite his great victories over the Persians, many Greeks regarded Alexander as a tyrant. King Agis of Sparta, with Persian support, now launched a revolt against Macedonia. Antipater, Alexander's commander in Greece, was already dealing with rebellion in Thrace. But he quickly marched south and met Agis in battle near the city of Megalopolis.
Of course it's Sparta.
Even the legendary Spartans were now no match for Macedonian military power.
Oh, damn.
The Spartan army was crushed. King Agis himself was among the fallen.
One thing's for damn sure, when you have a really charismatic and strong leader like Alexander, you can see throughout the history this is the case. Like whenever you have some leader like that, your own people everywhere basically fights with real courage and real patriotism, basically. Your army is automatically way more effective. Alexander is not even here and they defeated Sparta, because they know Alexander is conquering the world there. That's something.
With his base in Greece secure once more, Alexander advanced towards the Persian heartlands, seeking a final showdown.
He's just standing there at Tyre, waiting for the message. Should I come there? Oh, no, we got it. We crossed the Spartans. All right. I guess I'm going to move to east again.
With Darius. He received a letter from the Persian king, offering him a fortune in gold, his daughter in marriage, and half his empire in exchange for peace. But Alexander's stunning victories, all the oracles and acclamations, had now convinced him that his destiny was to rule the world. He rejected the Persian king's offer. He didn't want half the empire. He was coming to take it all. Research and artwork for this video comes from Osprey Publishing's
Yeah, he's like, oh, Oracle told me. Yeah, maybe don't listen to Oracle much, but I guess he's lucky that in the end he was that good. So Oracle turned out to be true, because Alexander was so fucking badass. I mean, you know, one sight of this guy is enough for you to understand how badass he is. Just seeing how the way he fought, right? Every battle, he and his team is the first across the field. Usually when you have emperor, king or whatever, he sends his one of the infantry here and there, a phalanx or whatever. He sends them first, and then later on the person joins. He's the one who joins the first. So everybody basically gravitates to him because, oh fuck it, it's Alexander, let's kill him first. And then everybody else in his, the phalanx and everybody else, basically cavalry, has more surprise element now to attack the opposing army. And that always works. Yeah, sudden surprise attack always works. Alright people, that was the Alexander the Great Part 2 by the channel Epic History TV. If you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more, I guess. Check out the reaction today, there's a link in the description. Check out the cards for different places with the ink cards, and yeah, I'll see you next time.